For more than 20 years, transarterial chemoembolization alone has been the global standard for patients with unresectable, embolization-eligible liver cancer, despite a median progression-free survival of only 8 to 10 months and no approved systemic therapy to pair with it.
The Phase 3 EMERALD-3 trial asked whether adding an immunotherapy combination called STRIDE, with or without the drug Lenvatinib, could change that. The results were presented at the 2026 ASCO Annual Meeting, and they come with real questions about how much toxicity is worth trading for that benefit. And repeating that same procedure doesn't solve the problem. He noted that repeated TACE becomes less effective over time and can further compromise liver function. At the moment, there's no systemic therapy-based option approved anywhere in the world for these patients specifically.
This program summarizes attributed medical reporting for educational and informational purposes. It does not provide medical advice.
So the treatment itself opens a door the immunotherapy can walk through. That's the opportunity durvalumab, the anti-PD-L1 antibody, is meant to exploit, while Lenvatinib, an anti-VEGF and FGF inhibitor, addresses T-cell infiltration and the tumor's blood vessels.
EMERALD-3 randomized patients into 3 groups: STRIDE plus Lenvatinib combined with TACE, STRIDE with TACE but no Lenvatinib or TACE alone. The pre-specified primary endpoint was progression-free survival, comparing the triplet regimen against TACE alone. EMERALD-3 enrolled 760 adults with unresectable, embolization-eligible hepatocellular carcinoma, 83.2% male, 72.1% Asian. They were randomly assigned to one of 3 arms: STRIDE plus Lenvatinib with TACE, STRIDE with TACE and no Lenvatinib or TACE alone as the control.
Let's define STRIDE precisely, since it's doing a lot of work here. It's a single dose of tremelimumab, the anti-CTLA-4 antibody, combined with durvalumab, the anti-PD-L1 antibody, given at regular intervals. Lenvatinib, when added, is an oral multikinase inhibitor targeting VEGF and FGF.
And it's worth noting STRIDE itself isn't new. It's already an approved frontline regimen with a demonstrated, sustained overall survival benefit in this disease. The question here was whether pairing it with TACE could extend that benefit into the embolization-eligible setting. This is Conference Hype. Stay with us, coverage continues. In the intent-to-treat analysis, at 64% data maturity, median progression-free survival was 13 months with STRIDE, Lenvatinib and TACE, compared with 9.8 months with TACE alone. That's a hazard ratio of 0.7 with a p-value of 0.0007. This was the trial's pre-specified primary comparison.
And the benefit held up over time, not just at the median. The 2-year progression-free survival rate was 30.4%, with the triplet regimen versus 19.3% with TACE alone. It's a meaningful separation for a population where historically that curve has looked much flatter. 2-year progression-free survival was 30% versus 20.3% in that comparison. Numerically, that's almost identical to what we just heard for the triplet with Lenvatinib, 12.9 months versus 13 months. We'll come back to what that similarity might mean.
Overall survival is much earlier in its follow-up, only 40% mature for the triplet comparison. Their median overall survival was 39.5 months with STRIDE, Lenvatinib and TACE versus 34.7 months with TACE alone. Hazard ratio 0.84, p equals 0.1814, not statistically significant. Objective response rates were 38.9% with the triplet, 40.8% with STRIDE plus TACE, and 27% with TACE alone.
And there's a practical angle too. Patients in the TACE-only arm were the most likely to need 3 or more TACE procedures, at 40.7%, compared with 22% in the triplet arm and 33.7% in the STRIDE plus TACE arm. Fewer repeat procedures matters clinically, given what we heard earlier about repeated TACE compromising liver function over time.
So adding systemic therapy didn't just improve response, it appears to have reduced how often patients needed to go back for repeat embolization.
Stay with us coverage continues.
Safety scaled with how many therapies were combined. Grade 3 or 4 adverse events occurred in 62.7% of patients on the triplet regimen, 48.6% on STRIDE plus TACE, and 18.6% on TACE alone. That's a real toxicity cost to weigh against the progression-free survival gains we just covered.
Treatment interruptions of the systemic therapies were substantial too, 84% in the triplet arm and 44% in the STRIDE plus TACE arm. The reporting notes the adverse events themselves were consistent with each drug's already known safety profile, so nothing unexpected in kind, just in frequency. How much weight should we put on that non-viral subgroup signal?
Not much. By his own admission, he called it a very small subset of patients, most of whom were from Japan, and said it should be interpreted with caution. His bottom line, do we need Lenvatinib? It seems not, especially given the extra toxicity it can add. And the overall survival data itself is still far from mature, 40% for the triplet comparison, higher but still incomplete for the STRIDE plus TACE comparison. The full EMERALD-3 manuscript has been accepted for publication in Lancet Oncology, so more detail should be forthcoming. Sum up in this phase 3 trial of embolization-eligible unresectable hepatocellular carcinoma, adding the STRIDE regimen, tremelimumab plus durvalumab, to TACE improved progression-free survival compared with TACE alone, with a similar effect whether or not lenvatinib was included. Early overall survival trends also favor the combination arms, though those comparisons remain descriptive, with the data only 40 to 45% mature.
The biggest open question, per the trial's own invited discussant, whether that progression-free survival benefit is worth the added toxicity, higher rates of serious adverse events and drug discontinuation for every embolization-eligible patient, or only for certain subgroups still to be defined. Quality of life data, which could help answer that, hasn't been reported yet.
tag us on X. Share this broadcast with a colleague or your clinical team, subscribe to Conference Hype, and turn on notifications for more evidence-focused medical coverage.